Long ago, in a land called Ur of the Chaldeans, there lived a man named Abram. He lived among his family, surrounded by familiar streets, customs, and traditions. His life was ordinary, comfortable, predictable, but God had extraordinary plans for him. One day, the Lord spoke to Abram with a command that would change his life forever. Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. There was no map, no detailed explanation, no visible guarantee, just a promise. God promised Abram that he would make him into a great nation. He promised to bless him. Abram was 75 years old when he received this call. At an age when many people settle into routine, Abram was asked to start over. Yet, without hesitation, he obeyed. He gathered his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all their possessions, and set out toward an unknown future. This was the beginning of Abraham's faith, a faith built, not on sight, but on trust. As Abram journeyed to Canaan, the land God promised him, he faced many challenges. A famine struck the land, fear rose in his heart, and he made mistakes along the way, sometimes allowing fear to guide his decisions. Yet God remained faithful, even when Abram's faith wavered. God's promises did not. Years passed, and though God had promised Abram countless descendants, Sarai remained barren. Time moved on, hope seemed to fade. Abram was growing older, and Sarai too was advanced in age. From a human perspective, the promise looked impossible. But one night, God brought Abram outside and said, "Look up at the sky, and count the stars if indeed you can count them. So shall your offspring be." Imagine Abram, standing beneath the vast night sky, gazing at uncountable stars sparkling above him. The promise seemed unbelievable, yet Abram believed the Lord, and it was credited to him as righteousness. Faith is not the absence of doubt. It is choosing to trust God, despite doubt. Still, the years continued to pass. Without a child, Sarai, in her impatience, suggested that Abram have a child through her servant Hagar. Abram agreed, and Ishmael was born, but Ishmael was not the promised son. God had spoken clearly, Sarai herself would bear a child. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him again, and renewed his covenant. God changed Abram's name to Abraham, meaning father of many nations. Sarai's name was changed to Sarah. The name change symbolized transformation and destiny. God said, "I will bless her, and will surely give you a son by her." Abraham laughed, not out of disbelief alone, but out of wonder. He was nearly 100 years old, and Sarah 90. Yet, God's promises are not limited by human biology or by time. A year later, the impossible happened. Sarah gave birth to a son. They named him Isaac, meaning laughter. The child of promise had arrived. Every cry of baby Isaac was proof that God keeps his word. But Abraham's faith would face its greatest test. One day, God spoke again, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there, as a burnt offering." This command must have pierced Abraham's heart. Isaac was not just his son, he was the fulfillment of God's promise. Through Isaac, the covenant would continue. How could God now ask for him back? Yet Abraham rose early the next morning. He saddled his donkey, took Isaac and 2 servants, and set out for the place God had shown him. Notice something remarkable: Abraham did not argue. He did not delay. His obedience was immediate. As they climbed the mountain, Isaac asked, "Father, the fire and the wood are here, but where is the lamb for the offering?" Abraham replied, with words full of faith, "God himself will provide the lamb." At the top of the mountain, Abraham built an altar. He arranged the wood, then he bound Isaac, and laid him upon the altar. Imagine the tears in his eyes, the trembling in his hands, yet his trust in God did not fail. Just as Abraham lifted the knife, an angel of the Lord called out, "Abraham, Abraham, do not lay a hand on the boy. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Abraham looked up, and saw a ram caught in a thicket by its horns. He sacrificed the ram, instead of Isaac. On that mountain Abraham learned a powerful truth: God provides. He named that place, "The Lord will provide." His faith had been tested and proven genuine. Through Abraham's obedience, God reaffirmed his covenant. His descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky, and the sand on the seashore. Through his offspring, all nations of the earth would be blessed. Centuries later, from Abraham's lineage, Jesus Christ would be born, the ultimate fulfillment of God's promise. Abraham was not perfect. He experienced fear. He made mistakes. He waited through long seasons of silence. But what defined him was this: he trusted God. Faith, for Abraham, was not just believing when it was easy. It was believing when the promise seemed delayed. It was believing when circumstances looked impossible. It was believing when obedience was painful. Abraham's story teaches us that faith often requires leaving comfort behind. It requires patience and waiting. It requires surrendering even the things we love most.
Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos.